Okay.
The following is a special presentation of Ricky G Live on D99's Facebook Live. Highlight your music. D99.
Hey, what's up, you guys? This is Ricky G, and you're watching D99 Radio on Facebook Live. Now, my guest today does not need much of an intro. Zedd, how are you today?
Hey there, I'm doing all right. It's a tricky day today.
Tell me, what's tricky? What are you feeling today? What's the vibe like?
Well, it's a very tense day because today is probably the day we find out in America who the next president is. So while my typical answer would be, I'm good, I can't say I'm good. I'm nervous.
I hear you. So where are you right now? I'm in Los Angeles. Are you nearby?
Oh, nice. I'm in Los Angeles as well.
Okay, so you're in LA. You've been here throughout this whole kind of like, it started last night. Joe Biden seems to be in the lead, but then Donald Trump last night basically said, hey, we won. What are your thoughts on this? I know that you're a very politically minded guy. You've even done some like rallies, what is it called? Like against Donald Trump with the ACLU, right? With the American Civil Liberties Union. Tell me about what it is right now, because I know you've been thinking a lot about it.
I have been. It's been on my mind for the last days nonstop. I think that announcing a victory before a victory is there, which is easily anybody can view online that not all votes are counted, is terrible, is dangerous, and should not be legal. I think it's really coming from Germany, where every vote is one vote, coming to America, where one vote depends on where you live, maybe 0.1 vote because the state is definitely blue or definitely red, is a terrible feeling. And I think it's really demotivating to get people to vote. I was actually asking myself today why there's still close to 200 million people who didn't vote, no matter which side you're on, or you're for a third or whatever. Why not tell America what you feel and what you prefer? That's something that I've never understood. But yeah, I'm definitely nervous, and I woke up a little bit more positive than I went to bed.
Well, and you've had a global perspective on this. As you said, you grew up in Germany, you're German, you actually were born in Russia. So you've gotten the chance to see what different types of government, what democracy is like around the world. What do you think the perception is of what's going on right now as far as on the world stage?
I mean, I talk to my friends who are still mostly in Germany in my family. And I remember 4 years ago, my dad asked me, just based on the interviews you see online, is like, there is no way Trump's going to win, right? And I'm like, Dad, like, come on, people are not stupid. Of course he's not going to win. And I ended up being the one that's stupid, because I just assumed there is just no way that you could let somebody win that is this blatantly, like, constantly lying. So knowing from Germany, from my friends and family side, they just view him as a joke. And it kind of makes the whole country a joke. And my hope is that on the worldwide stage, America is not viewed as a joke anymore, but taken seriously. And I hope we have a leader who can speak with integrity and try to get everybody back together, instead of this insane divide that I feel like we've been witnessing over the last 4 years, where your success is based on creating more of a friction.
And have you been here in LA since the pandemic started, or were you back home in Germany, or how's that worked out for you?
No, I've been in LA since the pandemic started, since March, I believe. I've been quarantined. I've left twice. I went to Mexico twice. Those are the only 2 trips I did that I thought were worth the risk. I've obviously been super careful. Everybody got tested right before, right after, and we were very secluded. But other than that, I haven't been going to restaurants. I pretty much have just been staying home the entire time and focusing on myself. And this year is actually going to be the first year in my life that I don't go back home to Germany to see my family for Christmas, just because it's a really difficult time. And Germany just started a new lockdown like 3 days ago, I want to say.
Yes.
They are all still very unsure about the exact rules. So it appears like it's probably the safest thing to just stay home for me over Christmas and, visit as soon as possible in the beginning of next year.
And what are your predictions as far as where do you see this going? As you know, not the election and the pandemic. What do you think, especially as an artist who's so used to traveling? You know, earlier when you said this is the first year that I'm not going to go to the holidays. At first, I thought you were going to say that this is the first year that you're not going to be touring around the world, and which is probably also kind of true. So where do you see all of this going?
Well, I'm, optimistic that Joe Biden will take the presidency. And to your first question, and to your second question, I think I want to say it was Taiwan, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Taiwan is a country where they pretty much have normal life again. They have concerts. They haven't had COVID in like 200 days or something like that. I don't quote me on that, but something like that gives me a lot of hope that it is possible. And I think that naturally, by COVID is just this virus that's just not bad enough to the point where everybody takes it seriously, and it's too bad to not take seriously. So it's this really dangerous middle ground where we have such a divided opinion on it. I think that ultimately will probably be another year until things restart properly, and certain things may take a year and a half or 2 years until they properly restart. So I think it will be a matter of taking each day at a time, seeing where things lead, and then responsibly trying to. And we're probably going to come 2-hour drive away from Tulum. What was it again? We flew to Puerto Vallarta, and then it was like a short drive from there, which was also phenomenal. I really love Mexico, and other than that, it was the only place that I could see my friends from Germany because they can't come to America. They took like a 27-hour-long travel day to get there so that we can meet and see each other for like a week.
That's cool. No, and that's deserved. I mean, because you've been like ever since you kind of broke on the scene, you've been working nonstop. Maybe this was a good time to take a break, but I mean, you definitely haven't really taken much of a break because you just released a new single called "Inside Out," which is available now on all streaming platforms. Love it. It's very very kind of optimistic kind of vibe. You've been working on that for a while. Tell me about the evolution of that track.
Yeah, I think I've started working on it almost a year and a half, maybe even a year and a half at this point. And I got the production really far, and then I started recording singers, and I recorded some singers I really, really love and wanted to work with, and it just didn't click, and it didn't give me goosebumps. I love those singers, and it breaks my heart every time this happens. But I recorded one singer 3 times, like in a hope to get the right emotion across, and it just didn't click. And then my manager showed me Griffin. I loved her voice. I had never heard of her before personally, but I loved her voice. So she flew into LA right before quarantine started as well, which we got really lucky with. And we recorded the voice. She flew back to London. And ever since, I finished the production, finished the vocal production and the mix. And we never had a chance to see each other again other than over Zoom.
That's cool. That's cool. I mean, especially because right now everybody's kind of like doing the Zoom thing. So I guess, you mentioned something that, that it gave you the chills. And just yesterday I was reading an article and I pulled it up real quick here. It literally talks about, it was just posted yesterday, get chills when listening to music. Here's what happens in your brain. So scientists have discovered and have been studying this whole concept of what happens when one gets chills and how that releases dopamine and how that basically is this ancient part of our structure as humans. I think you would enjoy that.
Yeah, absolutely. I love science. I love anything. I think that the best things kind of happen by accident sometimes, but I still love the science behind why it may have happened that way. And you can judge music subjectively. You can send it to a label and they're going to be like, this is going to be big. This is going to be big. You can send it to a radio station and get their opinion. But ultimately, there's the only one feeling that nobody can cheat, and that's whether they feel it or not. And that's the only measurement that I care about, is if I get chills, I think that maybe other people get chills too.
Well, I'll tell you, definitely your new single, Inside Out, is chill worthy. And I hope everybody checks it out. I want to thank you so much for coming on the air with us today and hanging out. And I definitely look forward to having you again on the show so we can talk, hopefully once everything calms down and you'll have, some more positive stuff happening and coming your way.
Thank you so much. Thanks for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you, Zedd. Zedd joining us today live on D99 Radio. I'm Ricky G, and I'll be back with you guys tomorrow at 3 p.m. here on D99. Zedd, thank you so much. See you later.